Wait, hold on. You have an Evo 1 for $89? Okay, so
That's that discount deals I'm talking about, man.
why does anyone buy gear ever? Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to Indie Mogul. My name is Ted, and today we are talking about rentals. I know on this show we talk a lot about gear, specifically really expensive stuff that I know a lot of you guys can't actually afford. So if you can't actually afford to buy the gear, how much does it cost to actually rent it? And if we're talking about rentals, what is the best possible package at any given budget today that you can get right now? So to figure this out, I called up my buddy Mike Grady from Magnanimous Rentals. They've done everything from the small guy trying to pick up a lens for the weekend all the way up to giant kind of Hollywood productions. Mike is an absolute expert when it comes to rentals. He literally researches gear like day and night to figure out what is the best package at every single budget, and depending on what type of shoot that you're doing. After all, feature film set is going to look a little bit different than your student film set. So let's do this. Hey Mike, got a question for you. So we're doing a video on how to maximize your rental package and what is the best possible rental package that you can get at 3 different budgets. So 1, $100, 2, $500, and 3, $1,500. Can you help us out with this?
Definitely think I can help. It will depend on two things though, your budget and then what you're shooting.
So let's say there's a running gun package and let's do a studio package. That good?
Yeah, sounds perfect.
So starting off, coming to a rental house, have $100. What is the best kit that I could get today?
For all the run and gun shooters out there, I would recommend a GH5 with the 12 to 60 millimeter lens and the Ronin S. And those together are gonna be a fantastic run and gun kit. Exact cost comes out to about 110 for the day.
So why the Panasonic GH5? Is there a reason? There's a lot of DSLRs out there now.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot out there, but not a lot at that price point that does as much as the GH5 does. They pack a ton of features into a small, affordable body. You know, you've got slow motion, 4K, Vlog, all of that slammed in this really small, lightweight package. And it's really hard to beat at that price point.
Is there a reason that you'd recommend the Ronin S as opposed to something else?
It's just smaller and lighter weight. I would say on average, its setup time is probably about 50% faster than the Ronin M. You don't have a stand to set up and things like that. So it's just easier to throw your camera on real fast and start shooting right away.
So why a zoom lens instead of a prime lens?
It really comes down to versatility, especially for run and gun stuff. You don't want to be fixed on just one focal length because you never quite know what's going to happen. And so you want to have that versatility to zoom and really make your own shot as you're shooting. And that 12 to 60 plays in perfect. With the Ronin S, you actually can route your follow focus through the camera down to the gimbal. And so you don't have to use autofocus. Its autofocus will be nice and fast because it's going to communicate right with that camera. But you can even pull your own manual focus as you go. So it just creates this really cool ecosystem between all three.
Okay, so that's run and gun shooters. You mentioned another type of shooter, so still at that $100 price point, what are we looking at for another kit?
Yeah, you know, for the studio guys out there, I would still say at your $100 to go with the GH5. It's just such a robust camera that it's really hard to beat at that level. Yeah. But we're gonna swap out the Ronin S for our Sattler Ace tripod. Which is a super affordable tripod. It keeps things light, and it's their kind of most basic 75 millimeter bowl head. So you still kind of get that nice adaptable size that everyone at that kind of prosumer level is used to. And so you get the tension control that you expect.
All right, so moving on to our next price category, $500.
$500 is where you really kind of break into a lot of the fun stuff you can work with. We'll do a few different packages instead of just the run and gun and studio. I'm gonna throw a music video one in there as well. For our run and gun, I'm gonna go with the Canon C200. It's a fantastic camera that allows for, you know, the dual pixel autofocus.
Beautiful.
They've introduced the Cinema Raw Light encoder, so you can record RAW without filling up 200 cards and having 3 terabytes of footage at the end of the day. And it's just small and lightweight and versatile. And to pair with that, I'm gonna give you the 18 to 80 Canon Compact Servo. This is a fairly new lens that they introduced, which kind of bridges the gap between their photo lenses, the L series, and their cinema lenses, the C&Es.
What are we going for in terms of support on this sort of camera system as well?
Yeah, so we have our Red Rock Field Deluxe bundle, which has just been our standard shoulder rig pretty much for the last, 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had these packages for so long, and if you go to Red Rock's website, they're still selling this exact package because it's just it has everything you need. Counterweight, shoulder pad, hand grips up front. The rods are carbon fiber. The hand grips are real simple and they just are attaching, so you're not getting excess weight.
Gotcha, so it's modular, it's simple when it counts.
And then it keeps your cost cheaper too, which is the ultimate goal, right? I'd throw in a shotgun mic and a field monitor just to round everything out, and we'd land at right around $425 for the day. The monitor's the Small HD 702.
Legendary.
They're newer. Their user interface that they implemented on these monitors is fantastic. I'm actually have one I'm looking at right now because I love it so much. And then the Sennheiser MKE 600 shotgun mic, which is just a phenomenal hypercardioid mic that's gonna pick up all the audio you need for that.
Absolutely. Okay, so that's your run and gun kit. What would you say for next episode music video kit, right?
Yeah, so the music video kit, this is probably one I'm most excited about for everything. You've got the Panasonic EVA 1. It's breaking a lot of molds because it's got that dual native ISO in there. So especially for music videos, if you're shooting in low light scenarios, it's gonna help you out with that, but you maintain that V-Log. It has a 5.6K sensor that it uses to render its 4K. So you actually will see a sharper image out of it than other cameras at its price point. So I think for music videos, it could really help you introduce a lot of character. We have these ICP2 lenses to pair with it, which they're one of my favorites because you get a nice sharp look, but they're very contrasty. So you really get a creative feel to the image, and I think that's going to play really nicely into Panasonic's color with that V-Log and that higher resolution sensor they're rendering from.
Yeah, so now we're getting into choosing some creative choices too. So by choosing this glass, we're choosing an intentionally contrasty and sharp look with, of course, a pretty sharp camera in the first place. So the final result, I think music videos are kind of iconic for having that super sharp, super contrasty, super almost saturated look. Not all music videos, of course, but I think this does cover most things. Is there anything else in this kit that we're using?
The Movi Pro, which is just a phenomenal gimbal system to work with.
Yeah.
Will support any camera system up to 15 pounds, and then it's just extremely quick and easy to learn.
With the music video kit, I'm noticing there's no wireless follow focus for this. How do we actually control our glass then when we're pushing in and out on a gimbal?
Yeah, so for that, I'd recommend our Movi Bush Pilot, which is a wireless follow focus that connects to the Movi Pro Mimic controller. And uses that as its kind of transmission device to communicate between the Movi Pro, and then you route your motor into the Movi Pro. Helps keep things lightweight, and then you can take the Mimic controller and mount it to the ring of the Movi Pro, and as a single operator, pull your own focus without having to hire an AC for the day and run a wireless system and things like that.
Ah, so you can actually almost save some money on crew in this case. You can have one operator be able to operate and actually DP and pull focus at the same time. All right, so moving on from our music video kit, what's the next kit that we're talking about here? I'm
gonna throw a studio kit in there, and we're gonna stay in our cinema glass range. We're gonna go with the EVA 1 again, keep that cost really nice down. We're gonna throw our Sattler V20 tripod in there. It's gonna be very similar to the Ace, just a lot beefier, weight all the way up to like 40 pounds. And then we're gonna throw our Canon 30-105 cinema zoom in there. This is the C&E ecosystem of lenses. So you've got this phenomenal warm coating on there that's gonna render skin tones amazingly. And then it's essentially the like cinema 24-105, which for wedding shooters and doc guys know that that's a phenomenal all-in-one lens.
How are we supporting this? What other support do we need for the camera?
We're gonna run the ARRI MMB1 matte box bundle, which will give us base plate and rails, because we'll need a lens support underneath that lens, because it's about 4.5 pounds, so it's gonna start stressing that EF mount. So we're gonna put some support under there so we don't strain that mount too much.
Alrighty. Okay, so Mike, now we're at our last and final kit, $1,500. What kind of camera are we starting off with for this kind of music video package?
Yeah, so we're going with the Red Gemini for this. It sits kind of right smack dab in the middle of Red's capabilities. You've got a 5K sensor in there that can shoot slow motion, or you can do even ProRes proxy recordings right in there as your native recording or as a proxy to the RAW. You can kick it into low light mode, where you essentially you lose one stop of dynamic range, but you make up for it in its level of noise that you get from all its shadows and its low light areas.
Okay, so what are we using to support this kind of camera?
We're going with our Movi Pro again, which for the Reds has some amazing features that just expand on its ecosystem. We can route our camera power through the Movi Pro, but we can also route our camera control through the Movi Pro as well, using what Red calls the RCP, or Red Control Protocol. And we can do all of our camera controls and everything from there, or bounce it to our AC 900 feet away, and he can control all our settings from there. So everything's just way more streamlined and easy to go from one shot to the next. We're gonna bounce our focus control to our AC as well, using a Teradek system and the Bartek wireless follow focus. Two 702s, we're gonna throw one on top for our operator to look at, and then we're gonna bounce a wireless handheld one to our director so he can follow and walk wherever he wants to on set while still seeing the shots that's being created. So we can really kind of dive into the creative aspects of the shoot. We're gonna throw one last piece in though, which I think is crucial for this sort of setup, which is the ReadyRig GS.
The ReadyRig. Yep.
Yeah.
So why do we need a ReadyRig? Why can't we just be strong?
You can try to tough it out, but even the strongest of individuals are gonna wear out their arms eventually. And the ReadyRig gives you two support arms over your shoulder, which is gonna take all the weight off of that gimbal system, so your operator can solely focus on making that shot.
When Movi kits go out, how often do you see people taking ReadyRigs or some kind of gimbal support system with them?
I would say about 50% of the time they take the ReadyRig, but about 100% of the time they wish they took the ReadyRig.
That is an amazing answer. So then what about for our more narrative studio people? What do you recommend for them?
Yeah, so for our narrative kit, we're going big. We're doing the Alexa Minis.
Boom.
Gorgeous. It's an amazing camera to work with. The Alexa Mini's color science has kind of just become synonymous with narrative film. People often hail it as one of the most filmic looking sensors and color profiles out of digital cinema cameras.
What are you pairing it with?
Well, that's where this gets real fun. The Atlas Orion anamorphic lenses came out last year, but everyone got a look at them at NAB this year. They're phenomenal glass who brings the price point for anamorphic way down so that we can actually get an entire set of 3 anamorphic lenses, a 40, a 65, and a 100, all at a T2 underneath that 1500 price range, which is gonna pair with that Alexa Mini and do anamorphic D-squeeze inside our body. So not only do we record exactly in that cinescope, beautiful anamorphic look, but then you don't have to de-squeeze and post and mess with a lot of this background post-processing. It's just recorded right there in our camera.
For normal anamorphic glass, prior to Atlas coming out, what did it normally run to actually run anamorphic glass?
You'd be looking somewhere around $3,000 for a small lens set for a day, which is 2 times what our whole rental package is for this.
As far as other supports for the system, what are we looking at?
We're gonna throw that Sattler V20 in again, and we're gonna throw another matte box. But this time we're gonna throw in some creative filters. We've got a Pola, which will be a Rotopola that just drops in one of our stages of the matte box. And that helps control reflections from windows and glass and metal and things like that, so that you can really control what your image is looking like.
So why do you feel like rentals are so important to filmmakers and production companies?
They give you access to not only the tools, but a resource to help you create packages and things that you may not have known. Whenever we get a new piece of gear, I'm spending days researching it, learning as much as I can about it so that I can advise renters and explain to them what it adds or retracts from their rental. I have people all the time who will just send me a picture of a reference and be like, I want to try and make this and I have a GH5. What do I need? And then I'll work with them to find whatever's going to fit within their budget to give them the closest representation of what they're trying to create.
So then here's my question for you, Mike. Can people message you online? Can they bug you and ask you for tips about rental packages? And if so, where can they find you?
Our website is magrents.com. And then in the contact page is our email right there, which is rentals@magnanimousrentals.com. And that'll come straight to me or straight to my rental manager, and will be available 7 days a week to help you out, answer questions, or build a package.
Perfect. Sounds good. Alrighty, guys. So there you have it. There's your episode on rentals with Magnanimous Rentals and Mike Grady. Again, rentals shouldn't be scary if you're a first-time renter. And again, they are super important no matter what level of filmmaker you are because the technology changes and it's hard to keep up with it all. It's hard to buy it all the time when it comes out. And make sure you find the full discussion in the podcast link down below. We talk about not only what the other options are for all the packages that we showed in this video, but we also just geek out about gear in general. Now, if you like this episode, make sure you leave a comment down below. I'm going to ask Mike Grady to actually go into the comments, answer some of your rental questions so that you can get the answers before you actually go into your shop. But there you have it, guys. This is your episode on rentals from Indie Mogul. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Oh God, not the finger guns.